Is Greg Sankey good or bad for college football? And again, just because I said it the other day, I'll say it again. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like Greg Sankey, but you better learn to love him because Greg Sankey's here for the long run. And you don't have to agree with what he's saying, but you know what you can't say? Greg Sankey's wrong because he's not wrong. Greg Sankey is exactly right. He talked about it last spring, and we talked about it at length then, and a lot of you were upset when we were talking about it then, and I'm sure you'll say it now. Greg Sankey is correct that the NCAA is a has-been. The NCAA does not want to take action on anything in any kind of timeline. And Greg Sankey is correct when he says we just cannot afford to do that because that's exactly what's put college football in the predicament that it is in now, where it is hundreds of millions of dollars in a financial hole that it has to take action to get out of. And that is exactly why yesterday you had every Big-10 and SEC athletic director, Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, and Tony Petitti sitting in a room. And I can only tell you so many times, decisions are being made about your football team in that meeting. Doesn't matter if you're a Big 12 fan. It does not matter if you are a Pac-12 fan or a Mountain West fan or an ACC fan. Decisions are being made in those rooms and in those conversations about your school and its football future. You don't have to like it, but you better learn to love it because those decisions are forming the future of college football. And I think one of the things that came out of these meetings yesterday is Greg Sankey's a jerk. What an a-hole. That guy's selfish. He's a mobster. How many tweets did I get yesterday? Oh, they're holding college football hostage. They're not. They're not. You know what Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big-10, and Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, are doing? What's best for their constituents, their membership, their athletes. And if you were Greg Sankey, and if you were Tony Petitti, and would you be doing anything different? Because I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't. I wouldn't care what the ACC and the Big 12 thought about what I was doing. I would not care about what the G6 and the NCAA Division I Council cared or thought of what I was doing. I don't care because I'm doing what's best for my people. And here's the part that sucks for you. If you're not an SEC or a Big 10 fan, Greg Sankey's doing what's best for you as well. You just don't recognize that. And if you do, you don't want to acknowledge it. It's hard. I get it. That's a horse pill to swallow. But what Greg Sankey and the SEC and what Tony Petitti and the Big 10 want, they generally get. And generally it moves people like the Big 12 and the ACC into action because that's the biggest problem. And if we look at all of these college football issues, how long was inaction on paying college football players the problem with college football? How long? Since day one. And it still is a problem today because there are still people who believe that giving a kid a scholarship is enough compensation. And it simply is not. So then we get to this question of, is Greg Sankey a bad guy? Is he bad for college football? Is he an a-hole? And I'm here to tell you he's not. He is the hero that college football needs because this right now is and until somebody like Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti take action to prop itself up, the sport's going to die and it's going to suffocate under its own weight. And Jake, no, I do not believe that Greg Sankey is bad for college football.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's bad for college football is people not, taking football seriously at every level. I think what's bad for college football is programs not investing enough time or energy or not prioritizing football at a high enough level so that they can make money for their athletic program. And I think that it's not sexy to say that, oh yeah, hey, the average Joe P4 school who never wins anything is what's hurting college football, because if you don't win anything, you're not relevant. And if you're not relevant, you can't schedule big time TV matchups. And if you can't schedule big time TV matchups, you're not making big time TV money. And so for me, I look at these meetings yesterday. I look at what Greg and Tony are doing. And I sit here and say, what else would you have them do? What should they be doing? If you're somebody who says that Greg Sankey's a bad guy or somehow Tony Petitti's a bad guy, what would you have them do? Would you have them not meet? Would you have them not talk? Would you have them, not try to work together to create the biggest matchups in college football on a more regular basis? Would you not have them trying to, make the sport healthier and more efficient from not only a scheduling standpoint, but from a revenue generation standpoint? Well, no, of course not. But what I think a lot of college football fans don't like is the premise that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti are in the driver's seat of this thing. And you know what? They absolutely are in the driver's seat of this thing. And I think somebody has to be. There has to be somebody leading the way and being on the forefront and having the conversation. So I just think that we're running out of runway for, Greg's a terrible guy and Tony's a terrible guy and these two are just trying to steal college football and do it their way. The problem with that is their way has turned out to be the best way. Their way has been the most profitable. The pasture has been greener with how they're handling things. So for me, I look at this and I say, sure, there are some things that these two said yesterday that people took the wrong way. This whole notion that people thought that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti somehow, hinted at the Super League being dead is absolutely just wild to me. That is not at all what anybody said. And I think we need to be really clear on this. Like Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey are out here talking about, hey, we want to make sure that we don't. It's the infamous clip we've been playing for 2 weeks on the show about how Greg Sankey doesn't want to water down the SEC.
Yes.
And the reason I bring that up is because it kind of alludes to this concept of, yes, these two are in control, but as they move forward through that process, they want nothing to do with devaluing their brands through that process. They want nothing to do with hey, we're gonna miss opportunities the college football playoff to make money because we went too fast with the Super League. So nobody said the Super League is dead. That just didn't happen.
Here's what Tony Petitti said, and this is a quote that everybody's seizing on to pronounce the death of the Super League. And I want you to read this quote and then ask yourself, well, what didn't he say here? And what did he actually say here? Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big-10, I have yet to see a single thing in any plan that I've learned details about that contains things that we couldn't do ourselves and our A4 colleagues as well. At the end of the day, there's a strong commitment that you have the ability to do all of this ourselves. Tony Petitti, the commissioner of the Big-10. Well, what did he say there? What Tony Petitti said there was, well, you just haven't given us enough. You haven't shown me something and us something to make us move off our spot. $9 billion, that's cool, dude. But what are we getting for the $9 billion investment and ownership stake you're getting? That's the question here. These are all negotiations. And this goes back to a story that we've been working for the better part of 2 weeks that was validated by the national media this week, that the Super League is being not regularly talked about. There are negotiations happening between universities in a group called Smash Capital and TV partners that eventually are going to lead to a Super League. It's no longer a matter of if, because what else did Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey say repeatedly yesterday? Well, we want big matchups. Is there a way for us to be intentional about scheduling? Greg Sankey, who was in Ann Arbor for Texas and Michigan, said. Sankey continued, just an incredible experience. You stand on the sideline prior to kickoff thinking, what if we can do this with our own non-conference games? We respect where we have in-state rivalries that take place in non-conference scheduling. But we had a real general conversation about the what-ifs in football and basketball. So what did he say? Well, we want more 100,000 people crowds watching our football games that involve Big-10 and SEC members. We want big matchups. Do you get that with a Super League? You do.
And I think the last two words of that statement might be the most important, might be the most, confirmation you need that we do, in fact, know what the hell we're talking about. Because what did he say? Football and
And
basketball.
basketball.
And what have we been telling you? Hey, basketball is how you really make money in this thing. Yes, football has to be cooking. You got to be making a lot of money through football. You need to fill up your 100,000 seat stadium as much as possible. Like, we got to do that a lot. But when football is not in season and basketball is going, we want to fill that building up too. We want to have the biggest matchups. And so they're not like this notion of the Super League being dead and that these two are just, trying to take over college football. I don't understand where that notion comes from based on what they themselves said.
Fear.
Sitting at a table yesterday together in a conference room with no backdrop and a phone on the wall.
It comes from fear. It comes from fear. That's where this comes from. And you look at this media session yesterday. What don't we have from this media session? We don't have video. We have still shots. That's what we have. Greg Sankey on the right, the commissioner in the SEC, and Tony Petitti on the left. You don't have video. Very intentionally, you don't have video. This was something, and I know that people don't believe it, but this was something that every detail of these meetings were planned. They talked about scheduling agreements. They talked about NIL. They talked about the NIL settlement. They talked about how much money that NIL settlement's going to have. But notice what they didn't talk about. Anything that could be potentially called collusion. And how did they do that? They had their lawyers in the room with them. That's not a small detail because we've heard all week, they're colluding. There's going to be antitrust lawsuits. They had attorneys in the room guiding them through what they could and could not talk about. Greg Sankey spoke directly to it, said, we had attorneys in the room. Do you think it's an accident that he had brought up the fact they had their attorneys in the room to make sure they didn't get into collusion? That's not an accident. Guys like Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti don't accidentally say things. That's a minute detail that's not so minute. It's really important. Very small part of what he said, and nobody really picked up on it. But I am telling you, when Greg Sankey talks about we had our attorneys in the room to protect us from collusion, that's no small thing, because what is he telling you? We control the money in the college football playoff. They control 60% of the revenue. You understand that. The people in that meeting yesterday, they control 60% of the revenue. And they have the final say on the structure of the college football playoff right now.
Yeah. By the way, 60% light moving forward. That number's going to go up.
I'll continue to say, you don't have to like it, but you better learn to love it because it's reality. And the college football Super League is going to happen. And I want to hear from you on this because I know that we espouse our greatness on a regular basis on this show, and we are great. But why are you, specifically if you're an anti-college football playoff person, if you are an anti-college football Super League person, why are you so anti? And my guess is that a lot of you are going to be G5 fans. A lot of you are going to be the Boise State fan, the UNLV fan, the San Diego State fan. Why are you so against this? And I think it's because you're the have-not. And you take that personally, and maybe you should.
But at the same time, even with all that being the case, sure, take it personally. Shouldn't you be excited that you're no longer going to have to compete with these massive schools, these massive athletic departments that are operating at 3, 4, 5 times your budget at a minimum most times? Like, shouldn't you be excited about the proposition that finally in college football, the separation of classes is being talked about and the potential for the G5 to get their own playoff system is on the horizon, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that something that you as a G5 fan would be excited about? Like, that to me is the biggest thing. And this is like a life lesson too. I see so often in life, like people get all upset when they can't, when they can no longer hang with this dude over here. It's like the neighbor analogy, right? Like your neighbor's got this amazing car, an amazing house, and you're like so fixated on that, but you're missing out on the fact that, hey, if I'm not spending my money on those things, where else can I spend my money? And that's what I think the G5's plight in life is right now. And I'm curious when that narrative is going to roll over and get to, hey, well, cool. Now that they went off and did their own thing, now we can build our own thing. I mean, when do we get, Tim Pernetti and company talking about their own playoff system? When does that happen?
I think you have to grasp the fact that the power structure in college football is the television partners and the haves, and it excludes the have-nots. And the thing with Smash Capital, the way that Smash Capital is going about this is the only way that Smash Capital can be successful at forming a super league. Hey, Big 12 and ACC, look at this suitcase. It's full of $100 bills, and it can be yours. It is the Miami Vice way of doing things.
Yes.
Look at this suitcase of money. Do you guys see how neatly stacked all these $100 bills are?
And look at me.
And look how many bundles there are.
Look at all them bands.
I mean, look, can you imagine what this money in your bank accounts could do? Why don't you touch? Just come here. Come here. Why don't you go ahead and touch it?
I want more.
Why don't you count it? Well, come on over. Why don't you pull one of those bands off and just kind of feel the money, feel the paper on your fingertips? Get some of that ink. Go ahead. Get some of that ink on your fingertips. Come on.
The ink
over.
isn't dry yet.
Come on. I got a nice cold glass of lemonade here for you. That's what they're doing. Why aren't they doing that to the SEC? Because Greg Sankey's got his own $100 bills. He's got his own suitcases full of money.
And that's the hammer.
And frankly, why isn't Smash Cap doing this to Boise State or Fresno State or UNLV? Or
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Giving those people billions does not net you a return. If Alabama says, yeah, why not? You know what? Hey, man, I don't need your money. I'm going to take it. I'm just going to put it in my closet, which is already full of other suitcases full of $100 bills. That's what That's what people miss. You're not going to impress billionaires with billions.
Yeah.
But if you go to the Big 12 and you go to the ACC, who are not billionaires, and you say, hey, I'm going to make you a billionaire, you're now going to be able to compete with Greg Sankey. You think they're not taking that phone call? What did Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti say yesterday? Yeah, kind of coincidental that these conversations are being publicized now that we're sitting in a room together. Well, you're goddamn right, because you won't take the guy's phone call. But where is Smash Cap born? At Disney. They don't have to wonder if Disney and ABC and ESPN and the guys that run those networks, they don't have to wonder if those dudes will take their call, because they text and their friends and they talk about this at pool parties in the summer that you're not invited to. They don't have to worry. They've got the TV guy. They need to apply pressure to as many athletic directors as they can. And if you are Vanderbilt, who's the worst? Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. If you're the bottom feeders in the SEC, if you're Indiana, if you're Minnesota, if you're Illinois.
Oh, Indiana's having a great year this year. They're leading the Big-10 and nobody gives a damn.
If you're Purdue, you're picking up the phone. Is it easier to go and drop a briefcase full of money at Ohio State, or not going to get lost? Rich people. You leverage poor people with a lot of money, and that's what's happening. So we can all sit here and say, oh, man, it's unfair. The Mountain West, they deserve those suitcases of Hondies. No, they don't. You deserve what you've earned. And thank you. And the Mountain West hasn't earned it. The Pac-6 hasn't earned it. And one other small detail that I think is pertinent before we get to your comments.
Uh-huh.
I was told yesterday by a source close to the situation that the Pac-12 has made significant strides in the framework of a media deal, and that they have a if this then that handshake agreement. If you can bring me this group of schools, we'll pay you this amount of money, which is really all the Pac-12 can hope for, because they don't have leverage over universities or TV partners. But I am told that they have made significant headway in their efforts to come to an agreement of, again, a framework where if you plug in these pieces, we'll pay you this amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So the Pac-12 is making headway, and you knew it wasn't going to be long. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that that's what's happening. Right after you download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code Monty. And I've told you for how many days now that I'm an absolute god on Prize Picks.
Don't lie to me.
I never lose. That's not what I said.
Obviously not.
That's not what I said. Won on Prize Picks last night, and actually cashed $210 on Prize Picks last night.
Well, you took Bobby Witt Jr. in the Royals, right?
No, I took Garrett Cole for less than 6.5 strikeouts. He had 4. Garrett Cole was amazing last night.
Dude.
7 innings, 6 hits, and earned run, but only 4 Ks. And of course, you know, I took Giancarlo Stanton for 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He had 3. And then, because there's no red ass like a Monty red ass.
Right.
And when you are a bitter, broken man and you are sick and tired of hearing people besmirch and, play down Brock Purdy.
Right.
His demon number last night was 252.5 yards. I took more. He had 255 yards. By 2.5 yards. I went 3 for 3 last night. And I am so glad that I did not take Brandon Ayuk, who had a 44.5 yard number. Brandon Ayuk in that big contract, 2 catches for 37 yards. Now, I wish that I had gone with George Kittle for an anytime touchdown because he had 2, but I didn't. But again, you guys, the formula is simple. Download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code Monty. That'll get you the best daily fantasy promo I've ever seen. Use the promo code Monty, make a $5 deposit in a new Prize Picks account. They'll give you 50 more. Plain and simple. And you can play all season long on $55. It is the best daily fantasy promo I've ever seen. And I'm telling you, once you do that, here's the formula. I'm telling it to you right now. Flex play, make 3 selections. Flex play, $5. That means you only have to win 2 of those 3. Done. Cash.
And tonight, Prize Picks is offering you MLB playoff prize picking protection.
They are.
There is a promo. Now, you can only up to $10, but what you can do is up to $10. If you lose, you'll get your money back, which is great. Now, of course, me being me and being good at this, I'm not taking that protection because I don't need it. I'm doing the formula, 3 picks, the great gambler, Shohei Ohtani on a demon to have 1 single.
Yep.
You, Darvish, and Yamamoto combined to give up 1 run in the first inning between the 2 of them. More.
You're taking the demon single.
Yes.
What if he doesn't have a base hit? What if he's hitting balls?
Well, look at what he's done against the Padres. He's had a single almost every game.
He has.
Mookie Betts on a demon, more than 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. 1 swing of the bat.
Yeah, I am off the Mookie Betts bandwagon. I fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me.
He's been heating up. You don't like him?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
One of these 2 pitchers tonight's going to get shellacked. One of them's going to, and I don't know who it's going to be, but
I don't know either. I think it is. Whose bats do you trust more here? I think that's the biggest question.
The Dodgers.
You trust the Dodgers
I
more.
do. The Dodgers are an offensive juggernaut that can't pitch.
Is there and I guess this is the question. I think Yoshinobu Yamamoto,
Yeah.
say that fast 5 times, versus you, Darvish. You, Darvish, was spectacular, but can you do that to the Dodgers 2 starts in a row?
Yeah, I don't know about that. And that's why I'm saying that's why it's at Dodger Stadium. That's why I took the over on that 1 run between the two in the first inning. But in this game, just so we're clear in Prize Picks, if you haven't seen it, you've got goblins all over the place for just
easier to win.
Just easier to win. You know, like as an example, Jake Cronenworth for 1 hit runner RBI. You know, Jerks and Profar, same.
Man.
You know, Max Muncy, same. Like there are a bunch of these. So there's money to be made on this game, 100%.
Yamamoto's the tough one because he's a guy you should take here, but I think you just take him straight up. 4 strikeouts. You need 5. That means more or less than 4 strikeouts.
I would be more, in my estimation, Darvish is more reliable with the strikeouts. Yamamoto has a propensity to get lit up.
I don't think you think so.
Early in games, he's done that this year, but I don't know.
I look at this matchup.
It would be worth it to go back and look at what he did in his, because didn't he have a start earlier in the series?
He did. And he gave up some runs. 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned, home run, 2 walks, and a K.
So not great, but first postseason start.
Yeah, I think that I am. Here's the problem. He has a 12 ERA against San Diego, so it makes me a little nervous. He's 0-1 in 2 games, 6 innings, 8 hits, 8 earned, 2 bombs, 2 walks, 8 Ks. So he's averaging 4 strikeouts a start against San Diego.
Right.
Yeah, that's I'm going to have to put some thought into that.
So another real quick, we got to get going here, but with this $10 protected play situation on Prize Picks, do a three pick, a riskier 3 pick, you know, wager your $20 or whatever you want to put on it, and then do 2 more that are $10 picks that are protected. That way you can you're basically ensuring that you make
don't lose.
Yeah.
That you don't lose.
Yeah. Because on a $10 flex play on 3 picks, $10 makes you 20. So if you win it, you're doubling your money on that at that level.
Will Howard against Oregon, 246 yards.
More.
You think more?
More. Yeah, that's 280, 290, I think.
I think that's a really interesting one. And I do quarterbacks in college football every weekend. I do 3 quarterbacks. Shedeur Sanders, 310.5. Is his
K-State
number his demon?
Yeah.
350. He's not throwing for 350 yards against K-State. I don't think you can take that.
The question is, are they going to be are we getting UCF Colorado or are we getting Nebraska Colorado?
I don't know.
And that's the hard
question.
Like, are we getting the Colorado that beat Baylor in a thriller? Or are we getting a more consistent? And by the way, for K-State, I might add, this is one of the most explosive offenses they will have seen this year. And we're going to talk about that game in a little while. So that Shedeur number, that demon, that's a tougher demon for sure. If you're taking it, you're confident they're going to be playing from behind, which I don't think is a terrible take, by the way.
Noah Fafita's demon, 299.5 against BYU. I think I'm taking that. I'm taking Jake Retzloff at 249.5.
Isn't it? Right?
It is 2:00 Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I like that Fafita demon then. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm going Will Howard more than 246.5.
Yeah.
Boy, that's scary.
Where's Cam Ward at this week? Are they on Idle? Where are they at?
I haven't seen a Cam Ward number.
I think they might be Idle. Yeah,
they're idle. They're off this week. I think I'm going Noah Fafita 299.5 more yards. Jake Retzloff more than 250 and Will Howard more than 246.
Okay.
And I am going to do I'm going to do a $10 flex play on that.
Okay.
$10 to win 55.
Nice, dude. I like it.
So
Play
I'll
with
have
us.
to do. Play with us.
Sign
Use the
up.
promo code Monty. Put $5 in a new Prize Picks account. You'll get 50 more, and then screenshot it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.